Bom dia, colegas. Muito bom dia, bem-vindos a Aveiro, bem-vindos ao Centro Cultural e de Congressos de Aveiro. O meu nome é Alberto Gaspar, sou presidente da Associação Portuguesa de Professores de Inglês APPI. Hello, good morning. Good morning, happy family. Morning, thank you. Well, this is our third time in Aveiro, in vibrant, fantastic Aveiro. And it's our great pleasure to be here again. We were here 2 years ago and in 2008. Possibly some of you or many of you will remember these fantastic conferences. And you know, we are not alone. This conference is not confined to this beautiful auditorium or to both premises where this conference is taking place. I mean the Centro Cultural e de Congressos and the Meliari Hotel and Spa, because, as probably some of you know, this opening session, as well as the plenaries and the Diana England's session on Sunday morning, 9 o'clock, together with the closing plenary, will be live streamed, will be broadcast live. So please, just turn around, look up at the camera, and say a good, vibrant hello to all the people who are watching us. Hello! Thank you. As a matter of fact, many people in different time zones in the world are probably watching and listening to us from now on. Thank you. Well, let me introduce you those who are sitting with me at this table to help me launch this 32nd Annual APPI Conference. On my right, Dra. Dalila Batista from the Directorate General for Education at the Ministry of Education. On her right, Director of Education and Culture of the British Council in Portugal, Dr. Emanuel Carvalho. And on his right, Ms. Elaine Blaus, Deputy Director Global Network for Cambridge English, but representing both Cambridges, Cambridge Assessment English and Cambridge University Press, here in this table. And on my left, Dr. Jorge Ratola, Vice-Presidente e Vereador da Câmara Municipal de Aveiro. And on his right, Mr. Todd Mishara, sorry for my pronunciation, Superior Officer for Public Affairs at the American Embassy in Lisbon. Thank you for coming. And I'd like to call all of you for some welcoming words to us, to the audience, to the conference. Dr. Jorge Ratola.
Good morning, bom dia a todos. Tinha decidido, se o tempo não tivesse muito inglês, falaria inglês. Sim, vou falar em português, porque de facto, hoje o dia não é normal em Aveiro termos assim um dia very British, mas de facto foi em vossa honra e em vossa homenagem que isto aconteceu. 2 ou 3 notas primárias para vos transmitir o nosso gosto em ter-vos novamente aqui em Aveiro. É a 3ª vez. Agradecer muito ao Presidente da Associação que tem tido essa deferência com a cidade. O Sr. Presidente da Câmara não está presente, não pode estar no estrangeiro, mas pediu-vos para transmitir um grande abraço de amizade e de disponibilidade para continuarmos a cooperar não só com a Associação, como com todos aqueles que nos visitam. Cumprimentar a representante do Ministério da Educação, é sempre um gosto e um privilégio ter pessoas que representam outras instituições e outros organismos e, no fundo, dar credibilidade também às ações que aqui temos. E os representantes, quer do British Council, quer da Cambridge, quer o representante aqui da Embaixada Inglesa, que também seguramente engrandecem aqui esta ação e este momento que vocês vão viver de outra maneira, que eu só vou estar aqui na abertura, mas seguramente que será do interesse e de relevância para as vossas vidas e para o vosso futuro. Normalmente eu costumo dizer que nestes momentos iniciais há 3 tipos de situações. Ou vêm aqui as pessoas porque querem estar com quem está aqui na mesa e vêm aqui no fundo fazer este momento, ou são de longe e vêm a horas, ou de facto a conferência é tão interessante que estão cá do princípio ao fim, entusiasmados e partilhando também as suas opiniões e os seus conhecimentos. Seguramente que será um pouco disto tudo, mas será sobretudo para nós aveirenses e que todos os dias vamos fazendo coisas para que a cidade seja mais acolhedora e mais atrativa e mais interessante. Muito gratificante que aqui estejam e que aqui convivam connosco este fim de semana. Só dar-vos notas, eu há 2 anos elenquei aqui um conjunto de coisas que vocês poderiam fazer na cidade. Como tenho a expectativa e a esperança e a certeza que vão voltar cá por breve, nós estamos a diligenciar um conjunto de requalificações na cidade, mas referenciaria apenas 3. Uma, que é um centro coordenador de transportes ali perto da estação, que vai ter agregado um espaço também de bicicletas, para que as pessoas, quem vem de comboio, ou quem vem de carro, ou quem vem de autocarro, possa fazer a sua vida na cidade com naturalidade e com uma perspectiva bastante agradável. Estamos a requalificar a antiga estação de Aveiro, numa lógica de preservar e potenciar aquilo que é os ovos moles, uma das referências da nossa cidade, agregadas ao vinho da bairrada, porque de facto Aveiro já, e eu hoje vinha a pensar no que vos ia dizer, de facto Aveiro, para quem já vem aqui 3 vezes, embora haja sempre coisas bonitas para ver e coisas que estão a ser melhoradas e coisas diferentes, a região vale muito. A região não é só aqui a cidade, é a ilha, com o Museu do Bacalhau, com as praias, com a Mortosa, com a Albergaria, com Estarreja. Portanto, aqui à volta há um conjunto de cidades, pequenas cidades, que de facto constroem aqui uma grande metrópole, e também esse espaço deve ser revisitado e deve ser aproveitado para vocês darem por aqui uma volta. E por último, a Biblioteca Municipal, que já foi Biblioteca Municipal há muitos anos, ali em frente aos Passos do Conselho, no centro da cidade, também está a ser intervencionada, que é o edifício Távora, e que vai permitir que a biblioteca não seja apenas uma biblioteca normal, daquilo que é o típico e o tradicional, mas que também tenha as novas tecnologias, tenha a interatividade, tenha um conjunto de valências diferentes e atrativas para os jovens, para que permita de facto potenciar estes espaços que cada vez mais vão ficando abandonados por algum motivo. Por isso, desejar-vos uma excelente estadia, agradecer muito à Associação, mais uma vez, o privilégio de nos permitir estarem aqui connosco, e de facto dizer-vos que este dia, este tempo, é só mesmo para a vossa recepção, porque a partir de logo à tarde, seguramente que o tempo melhorará e poderão usufruir de tudo aquilo que a cidade vos proporciona. Muito obrigado.
Bom dia, good morning. Como senhor vice-presidente da Câmara, a quem agradeço as palavras, vou também falar em português, porque estamos com um ambiente muito inglês, não só aqui dentro como lá fora. E como estou aqui em nome do Ministério da Educação, em particular da Direção-Geral da Educação, naturalmente terei umas palavras que eu tentei sistematizar da mensagem do Ministério para todos os presentes. Começo por cumprimentar as pessoas que estão na mesa, o representante, o senhor vice-presidente da Câmara Municipal de Aveiro, o senhor diretor do British Council, os representantes da escola Cambridge e o representante da Embaixada dos Estados Unidos e, naturalmente, o senhor presidente da APPI. Todos aqueles que vão ser oradores e convidados e participantes ao longo destes dias e, naturalmente, caros e caras professoras de inglês. Desde já, só uma palavrinha para dizer que fiquei encantada por estar neste espaço e agradeço ao senhor vice-presidente da Câmara Municipal de Aveiro. É um edifício histórico, mas que caminhou com os tempos e se adaptou ao mundo em que vivemos. Muito obrigado por este espaço e também pelo local onde ele se encontra, extremamente encantador e identitário de Aveiro. E ao Sr. Presidente, eu agradeço já, da APPI, agradeço já os imensas professores que estão neste auditório. É a primeira vez que eu venho a um congresso da APPI, tenho ido a congressos de professores e, efetivamente, fiquei espantada com o número. Há uma adesão, de facto, que eu não posso deixar desde já de referir e que me impressionou muito. Muito obrigada por estarem aqui presentes. E agora eu vou passar à questão mais formal, porque de facto tenho uma mensagem que não é só minha. É com todo o gosto que me encontro aqui hoje a representar o Sr. Diretor-Geral da Educação na abertura do 32º Congresso Anual dos Professores de Inglês, que desde logo indicia que a partir da sua fundação, a APPI tem pautado a sua ação por uma intervenção contínua em prol do ensino e da aprendizagem das línguas estrangeiras, em particular o inglês. Não posso deixar de lembrar que há 2 dias comemoramos o 25 de Abril, acontecimento gerador de grandes transformações na sociedade portuguesa e que há 44 anos nos permitiu aprender a saborear a liberdade, tornando possível, designadamente, um largo movimento associativo em que se insere o movimento fundador das associações profissionais de professores, como foi o caso da APPI. E isto é-me particularmente grato porque também nessa altura da década de 80, nos inícios da década de 80, participei do grupo fundador da Associação de Professores de História. Naturalmente, enquanto professora de História, nessa altura, a iniciar a minha carreira. Mas agora, e aqui, cabe agradecer à Associação Portuguesa de Professores de Inglês as múltiplas iniciativas realizadas para a formação e apoio de professores, desde publicações, recursos pedagógicos e atividades diversas no âmbito da didática desta língua, desde congressos, seminários, encontros nacionais e internacionais. A APPI tem sido sempre uma entidade muito ativa no plano nacional e que desde há largos anos tem colaborado com o Ministério da Educação, como um parceiro inestimável, aceitando os desafios que lhe têm sido lançados em momentos-chave para o sistema educativo português, ajustando o seu trabalho à preocupação com a qualidade e com a inovação da didática do inglês e antecipando e trazendo temáticas relevantes para o debate. O Ministério da Educação congratula-se com a realização destes eventos destinados à atualização e formação de professores e à partilha de boas práticas. Nas sociedades contemporâneas, em constante mutação, é pedido às escolas e aos professores em particular um ritmo intenso de atualização. Este tipo de realizações, ao proporcionar aos professores o contacto com o estado da arte, permite o debate de temas diversos e relevantes do mundo contemporâneo e com impacto nas nossas escolas, bem como novas abordagens didáticas e a partilha de práticas e experiências de ensino e aprendizagem, o que constitui incontornavelmente uma mais-valia na formação dos professores. Para o Ministério da Educação, este 32º Congresso promovido pela APPI reveste particular interesse, pois ocorre num momento que está em curso um amplo debate e uma reflexão alargada sobre o currículo. Que currículo para a formação dos cidadãos do século XXI? O que ensinar? Como ensinar? Para quê e porquê? E qual o lugar de cada disciplina no currículo? Este debate iniciou-se no final de abril de 2016, com a presença e a participação das associações profissionais e, de novo, a APPI disse presente, tendo colaborado com a Direção-Geral da Educação na elaboração das aprendizagens essenciais para o ensino do inglês desde o 3º ao 12º ano de escolaridade, o que representou um trabalho de grande volume e exigência e foi realizado num curto espaço de tempo. Agora é o momento da consulta pública, que vai ocorrer em breve, devendo as aprendizagens essenciais serem apropriadas pelos professores enquanto documento de orientação curricular base na planificação, realização e avaliação do ensino e da aprendizagem, designadamente a avaliação externa, acompanhada por uma metodologia eficaz que tenha os alunos no centro da atenção e o próprio título deste congresso aponta exatamente para essa metodologia centrada nos alunos, ensinando eficazmente, mas ensinando com afetividade. Estas orientações estão de acordo com o que consta, com a visão que consta no perfil dos alunos à saída da escolaridade obrigatória. Este documento, organizado em princípio, valores e competências que os alunos devem concluir ao fim de 12 anos de escolaridade obrigatória, constitui efetivamente neste momento o referencial primeiro para toda a ação educativa. Mas para além do perfil dos alunos à saída da escolaridade obrigatória e das aprendizagens essenciais para todas as disciplinas dos ensinos básico e secundário, que foram construídos a partir dos documentos curriculares que estão em vigor e que se manterão em vigor, portanto, como um recurso a que os professores devem voltar sempre que for necessário, para além daquilo que está nas aprendizagens essenciais. Não posso deixar de destacar, ainda no âmbito da ação do Ministério da Educação, a elaboração de uma Estratégia Nacional de Educação para a Cidadania, que visa o desenvolvimento pelos alunos de aprendizagens e competências com impacto na sua atividade cívica individual e no relacionamento interpessoal, social e intercultural. Também ao longo deste ano letivo, que está quase a terminar, esteve em 230 escolas que se voluntariaram uma experiência pedagógica, um projeto de autonomia e flexibilidade curricular. E resultante desta experiência e daquilo que tem sido o debate e os contributos dos vários parceiros, está neste momento em discussão pública o diploma que irá alterar o Decreto-Lei 139 e que vai consagrar, portanto, estas novas linhas de orientação política, pelo que apelo à vossa participação e aos vossos contributos. E agora, antes de terminar, uma palavra para o ensino e a aprendizagem do inglês. O inglês é desde há muito assumidamente uma língua franca na comunicação do mundo global em que vivemos, pelo que é fundamental proporcionar ambientes de aprendizagem que apoiem os alunos a desenvolver competências que lhe permitam ficar melhor preparados enquanto cidadãos e profissionais que vivem e viverão tempos de imprevisibilidade e de mudanças aceleradas. Desde 2012, o Ministério da Educação tem vindo progressivamente a implementar medidas de valorização do ensino do inglês, de forma a atingir um maior domínio desta língua pelos alunos portugueses e, simultaneamente, garantir o acesso de todos os alunos à aprendizagem desta língua. Exemplos destas medidas são o caráter obrigatório de aprendizagem desta língua no sistema de ensino português durante 7 anos, que poderá ser prolongado depois do ensino secundário, e que são obrigatórios do 3º ao 9º ano de escolaridade, a partir do momento, 2012, em que se inseriu na matriz do 1º ciclo a aprendizagem do inglês a partir do 3º ano. E, atualmente, a elaboração das aprendizagens essenciais que permitiram alinhar todo o currículo de inglês com o quadro europeu comum de referências para as línguas, o que se constitui uma referência para o ensino e para a aprendizagem e a avaliação interna e externa desta disciplina. Eu acho que isto foi um passo muito grande que foi dado em termos de documentos curriculares. Eu deixo aqui um repto ao Sr. Presidente e à APPI, que talvez seja a altura de nós agora começarmos a pensar nos mecanismos que nos faltam para que os nossos alunos, quando terminam o ensino secundário, os 12 anos de escolaridade, possam ter nos seus certificados de conclusão não só as médias, mas também o nível de proficiência linguística que eles adquiriram. Acho isto muitíssimo importante numa sociedade de mobilidade cada vez mais acelerada. E, portanto, lanço este desafio, porque acho que há ainda trabalho a fazer neste âmbito para caminharmos nesse sentido. O domínio do inglês é hoje uma ferramenta essencial para os alunos adquirirem múltiplas literacias e valores que respondam a questões de identidade, interculturalidade, respeito pela diferença e pelo outro, inovação e criatividade, confluindo assim para a formação de cada indivíduo como cidadão participativo nas sociedades contemporâneas. É uma grande responsabilidade que cabe, em primeiro lugar, à língua materna e a seguir ao inglês, e depois as outras línguas. Naturalmente, nós vivemos numa sociedade que cada vez se deseja mais multilingue, e eu gostaria, e estou mesmo a terminar, de citar uma frase de um escritor português, Virgílio Ferreira, que já foi usada uma vez pela Direção-Geral num encontro organizado com as associações profissionais e institutos de língua, e em que se fez como material de apresentação um conjunto de 5 postais com esta frase e com a ação que cada associação estava a desenvolver, os projetos que estavam a desenvolver a essa altura. E essa frase, portanto, aparecia na versão da língua portuguesa e depois foi traduzida para o espanhol, o inglês, o alemão e o francês, naturalmente, e, portanto, eu acho que ela sintetiza efetivamente isto e aquilo que é o nosso papel. Diz Virgílio Ferreira: uma língua é o lugar de onde se vê o mundo e em que se traçam os limites do nosso pensar e sentir. Isto é um desafio tremendo para todos nós e para todos aqueles que estão na educação. Neste mundo global e multicultural, temos um grande desafio todos. Antes de mais, e eu volto a repetir, para as pessoas de língua materna e para as pessoas de inglês. Vocês vejam bem que esta língua, enquanto instrumento de comunicação global, é também um grande instrumento de difusão de culturas e de apreensão de culturas e de conhecimento do outro. Mas também para todos aqueles que intervêm na educação e para todos aqueles e para toda a sociedade. No fundo, isto compete a todos nós. Congratulo uma vez mais a Associação Portuguesa de Professores de Inglês pela realização deste congresso, desejando que seja um êxito e muito gratificante para todos os participantes que vão acompanhar os trabalhos durante estes 3 dias. Será naturalmente uma oportunidade enriquecedora e vão sair daqui com certeza muito mais confortáveis para os desafios que se apresentam. Muito obrigada.
Thank you, Dra. Dalila Batista. Dr. Emanuel Carvalho, por favor.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Aveiro. I apologize if I look a little bit rained out, but I think like many of us, I got caught in the water outside 2 or 3 times today. And I say water because it wasn't rain. It was literally like walking through water. My thanks to Alberto once again for having the British Council present and allowing us to say a few words. And my thanks to all my colleagues on the panel for joining us. I'm going to stay away today from the English language as such and pedagogical issues and focus a little bit more on the relationships that the language brings. The British Council has been working with Portugal and Portuguese institutions and individuals since 1938. It's 80 years of engagement, 80 years of cultural exchange, knowledge exchange, and 80 years of opportunity between the 2 countries. We'll be celebrating this 80th anniversary with a series of events throughout the year, and I'll tell you a little bit about those as we go on. But it's really an opportunity for us here at APPI to look at the role the British Council has had, along with institutions like APPI and other partners, like our friends from Cambridge English and Assessment, to be a crucial mediator between our 2 countries. And it's very interesting to think that generations of people, particularly Portuguese academics, engineers, researchers, scientists, artists, over the last 20, 30, 40 years, found their feet in the UK and gone on to do great things. And that trigger has always been the ability to engage with the culture. And the only way you do that is if you can engage meaningfully with the language. And the ability of Portuguese individuals to engage with the language is down to many of you in this room today and your predecessors and the work that APPI and the Ministry have done over the last 20, 30 years. The British Council has been, over this time, and will continue to be, a vital bridge between institutions. We look to bring partners and individuals together. I think we have always started from a position of openness, mutuality, reciprocity, and developing relationships that make sense, that are sustainable. And if we look back at 80 years, many of the people in this room at some stage would have passed through the doors of the British Council or engaged with some of our colleagues in many, many projects over the years, be they in education, be they in the world of culture and the arts. And I think it's really interesting to think that it was 80 years ago that we first opened our doors in Coimbra. Portugal was the first country in the world that the British Council started teaching English in 1943, again in Coimbra. So there are some really interesting links that are further signs of the relationship and the great alliance that our two countries have. Our role as the Council and in our partnerships with APPI and others in the Ministry in Portugal is really to create friendly knowledge, friendly understanding between our two peoples, allowing both countries to consume and enjoy each other's culture and the benefits of those. I think it's no surprise that Portugal seems to be, at the moment, a country in fashion in terms of the world of entrepreneurship and business. I'll put tourism aside because that's a very different boom, but record levels of exports from Portugal, record levels of foreign investment, a startup ecosystem, and all of that space, all of that ecosystem relies very much on the English language to function and relies on a pipeline of young, well-qualified professionals coming through the Portuguese education system to service. And again, that process starts here in the schools with the work you do every day. We don't just work in education. You know that the British Council also teaches English. We help train teachers and develop teachers. We work with partners. We engage with assessment. But a lot of the work we do is in the world of culture. And this year in particular, for our 80th anniversary, there's some really interesting opportunities to engage the teaching community, but also for the teachers here today to engage their students on other issues related to culture and education. Last week in Lisbon, we saw the launch of the Post-Pop exhibition, an exhibition that looks at 10 years of Portuguese and English cooperation in the post-pop art world from 1965 to 1975. When many Portuguese artists were leaving Portugal, fighting against the political system and trying to find their feet in the UK. It was, I must say, an eye-opening experience. It's one of the largest experiences I've seen in terms of an exhibition, more than 200 pieces that look back at this relationship between Portugal and the UK in some very disconcerting and troubling times, elements of which we still see nowadays and are starting to see again in Europe. For the first time, the Gulbenkian and the British Council will collaborate and do workshops around the art on display in English, available for schools. So if any of you would like to take any of your students across to the Gulbenkian in Lisbon to do some workshops based on the art, a little bit of history, a little bit of art culture, but all in the medium of English, please have a look at the Gulbenkian website or the British Council website and do take your students along. Similarly, over the course of the year, we'll see many other little pieces, so follow us on our Twitter and our Facebook. It's really important that English is not just something children learn, it's something they use to enrich their lives and enrich their ability to engage everything outside Portuguese borders. I won't say much more than that, other than to once again thank you all for being here in presence and weight. There are many British Council colleagues here present over the 2 days, both on the stand, engaging in the session. Probably a sign. We'll be floating around. Please come talk to us. We'd love to listen to some of the things that you're doing or some of the challenges you're facing, and see how the British Council and our networks and our partners can help. Thank you all, and I hope you have a fantastic 3 days.
Thank you, Dr. Emanuel Carvalho. Mr. Todd Mishara, please.
Thank you very much. Again, my name is Todd Mia here. I'm the Public Affairs Officer at the U.S. Embassy in Lisbon. Thank you so much for. All right, that's it. Thank you. Once again, I'm from the U.S. Embassy in Lisbon, and it's just wonderful to be here in Aveiro. Thank you to Alberto and APPI for hosting us here. I'm only arrived in Portugal last July, but I understand that our relationship with Alberto and APPI goes back many, many years. And thank you to all of my colleagues here on the panel. It's wonderful to actually get to meet some of you and to see the rich environment that that English instruction has here in Portugal. I will be very brief because as much as I'm sure it's interesting to hear from a diplomat about English teaching, I'm very fortunate today to have an American an American teacher who is an expert in teaching English here to be the diplomat for the United States and English teaching. So I will be very brief. I just want to say that the embassy, is not, the American embassy here is not like some of our colleagues. We're not an English teaching institution. Our main focus, in addition to culture and arts in my portfolio, is to support the English teaching that is happening here. That is to say, to support all of you and the great work that you're doing. And we do that in a number of ways that I'll just outline very quickly. One is we do school outreaches. We work with students. I hope we've worked with some of you actually in this room previously, but we go out to high schools, usually secondary schools, and speak to classes on topics of American culture or whatever topics are interesting. I have done 3 of these in the past myself, but other members of the embassy do too. I've done 3 of these in the past just 2 months, and we do these outside of Lisbon. So if you're not, even if you're not in Lisbon, don't hesitate to ask us, because we will come. I've been to Miayada, to Sines, and to Santarém, and my colleagues have been to other schools around the country. And we also, don't forget, I don't know if we have anybody from the Azores, but we have an officer out in Ponta Delgada as well, and he is more than happy to go do school outreach as well. At the same time, we welcome classes of students to come to the embassy. So when you go and visit this wonderful exhibit down at the Gulbenkian with my British Council colleague, we are literally 2 minutes away from the Gulbenkian. So you can come up and go there, and then come by the embassy, and we'll make it a full English day. It'll be wonderful. On top of that, we also support the teachers themselves. I hope you have seen opportunities in the past for a program that we run called the Study of U.S. Institutes, which one of those programs is specifically aimed at secondary school teachers. That's an open competition every sort of October, November timeframe that you would go during the summer. That's fully paid by the U.S. government. We also have opportunities for students called the Benjamin Franklin Transatlantic Fellowship, which is also a fully paid U.S. Exchange program for exceptional students. We always get at least 1 or 2 Portuguese high school students to go to that. And I know this crowd is mostly secondary or elementary school education specialists, but we also support English teaching assistants in various universities and institutions of higher education around the country. This year we have 7, including Leiria, Bragança, Ponta Delgada, many cities outside of Lisbon as well. And while they are focused on supporting university-level English education, they also have a mandate to do outreach to the communities where they are. So I hope you, I hope you get in touch with them and can also be involved with these native English-speaking teaching specialists as well. And I think with that, I will leave it to my great colleague from the United States in a little bit to talk about her experience and to represent our country. Thank you.
Ms. Elaine Blaus, please, a few welcome words. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll try and be brief so that I don't get cut off like my colleague. But firstly, I'd really like to start by saying thank you to Alberto and all the team at APPI, who year after year organise this wonderful conference, which showcases the best cutting-edge practices in ELT and bringing specialists from around the world to Portugal. It means we all get to come and visit wonderful places in Portugal as well, so thank you so much. But this year, it's a really special year, and we're very, very excited, both at Cambridge Assessment English and Cambridge University Press, because this year we have the honour of offering an integrated Cambridge experience, which is running all day tomorrow, with 2 plenary sessions in here and workshops throughout the day in the São João room. Now, I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity to go to a Cambridge experience before, but if not, please, please try and catch at least one of the sessions here tomorrow, because they are excellent. Now, as a learning organisation with its roots in assessment, we've nurtured and developed strong partnerships with institutions such as APPI, while continuing to work very closely with our sister company, Cambridge University Press, to support both learners and teachers throughout the language learning journey. And this year saw our second series of webinars held in conjunction with APPI. And this is an increasingly successful project with over 100 teachers signing up and contributing to each session. And I think that a lot of the people who presented the webinars are actually here today. So if you attended one of those webinars, you might get to actually see your presenters in the flesh because they're all sitting around this room. Now, I have to say, even I have attended some of those webinars because I think they're fantastic. So again, you know, even if it's just during one of the breaks or at lunchtime, you can take the opportunity to actually go and meet those people and have a chat with them. But the second week of April also saw what we called the Cambridge Portugal Roadshow, with a team from both Cambridge Assessment and Cambridge University Press giving workshops in 4 cities around the country. And that's something that we're hoping to extend next year and actually go to even more cities. So again, if you didn't get a chance to go to one of those this year, then hopefully next year or the year after will be somewhere closer to you. But we really feel that in making partnerships with organisations whose goals are similar to ours, we can maximise, we can share, and we can build on our expertise and research. And then working together, we can find innovative solutions and approaches to help face the changing world of education today. But for Cambridge, teaching effectively and affectively means not only ensuring that our students can speak, write, and understand English well enough to prepare them for the world of employment and further education, but that in the process of doing so, that they'll develop the skills and the knowledge that they'll need to pursue successful careers in the future. So the English language classroom, from a very early age, provides an enormous wealth of opportunities for students and teachers to recognise and unlock their potential. But we're all here to help people learn English and prove their skills to the world. And in doing so, provide the support, encouragement and direction every learner needs every step of the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine. I'm sorry, Elise, we are a bit behind schedule. We are just finishing off, please. Let me tell you just 2 or 3 housekeeping notes. We regret to inform you that there has just been a cancellation. Our colleague, most of you will know him, Fitch O'Connell, is not able to do his session scheduled for Sunday afternoon due to health reasons. From here, we wish Fitch a quick recovery. And on a lighter note, if you are interested in attending the conference dinner tomorrow evening at the hotel, please rush to the welcome desk and get your ticket, okay? And now when you are leaving the opening plenary, this Centro Cultural, you won't find a welcome desk as we have announced, you know, in the last few days. The welcome desk after 11 o'clock will move to the Melia Hotel, and then it will stay up to the end of the conference. Thank you. And now again to Todd, thank you, to introduce our first keynote speaker sponsored by the American Embassy. Thank you.
Thank you, Alberto, and I will be very brief because she's been very patient. It is my distinct honor to welcome Dr. ALYSE Schoenfeld from the Palm Beach State College in the state of Florida of the United States. She has an amazing curriculum, which I won't go over in detail just for the sake of time, but it includes, of course, a degree from Harvard University. It includes numerous awards for her teaching career, and I think most importantly, her experience as I say this biased, as a member of the U.S.-Portugal Fulbright Commission, but her experience as a 3-time Fulbrighter in Chile, Albania, and most recently and most importantly and most impressively here in Portugal itself. So Dr. Schoenfeld, thank you so much for being with us today, and welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, bon dia, bonjour, buenos dias, guten tag, and whatever else might be out there. Greetings. It is truly my delight to be here with you today. I was so thrilled the first time I got to be here with an APPI conference last September in Villanova de Barquinha. It was a beautiful, enlightening weekend, lovely scenery, and a great introduction to Portugal. And just as this is my first time in Aveiro, even though I spent 4 or 5 months in Lisbon, we never got here, and this is perfect. I can tend to do some sightseeing as long as the weather changes for us. So I thank APPI for having me here, number one. I truly appreciate all of their attention that they've given me, and it is great to see students from Lisbon who were at my workshop on games. Likewise, some faculty who have joined us today, and I also welcome those of you who were in Tomar. I got to do a workshop there as well. So all of you, thank you for being here. My first thing is to say I congratulate you. You have chosen to come today. You could have been home, lounging in your beds, enjoying your weekend with your families. You didn't need to be here. However, you've picked to be here. Be the best that you can be. Improve what you already know. There are experienced teachers here as well as experienced teachers. Hopefully, everyone will benefit. When they told me this topic, I thought, oh, goodness, I have to applaud you for even choosing that topic, because as long as I've been in the teaching career, I wasn't quite sure what it was that we were dealing with on this weekend. So number one, please now give yourselves a round of applause for being here. You notice that you are the ones who are going to be collaborating. You are here to meet one another and to network with one another, because that's part of the conference. That's part of where your knowledge will come from for the future. You're going to enrich your lives personally and professionally by coming to APPI, by coming to conferences, because collaboration through your students, through your fellow workers, in work teams, at any kind of job you may have, that's where knowledge comes from. Teachers do make a difference. You know that. There's no question that you are very important to society. Our pay doesn't always tell us that, but yes, we know that we are very important. We make a difference. You as an individual make a difference. Yes, you can. You can be that little ant, even though it's one little spot that you make a change. You make a difference. What a joy it has been for me over the years to see how students have come back, how thrilled I was. I originally taught Spanish. That's my number one field. I've gotten into English more recently. But when I was teaching Spanish, and then I found that there were others who came back who were my students, who became Spanish instructors, Spanish professors, what a joy that is. You as an individual, how wonderful that makes you feel, that what you love can continue. And it will come back and back. You do have an impact. You have a huge impact on society. The future depends upon you. As much as you might get discouraged on a day-to-day basis, there is no reason for it if you just look ahead, because you will make that difference. You do change and transform your students' lives. When you listen to their individual stories and hear day by day what family they come from, who it is that they've spoken with, what they've told that you've learned, that you have shown them, you do transform lives. So your collaboration and cooperation among yourselves, with your students, and with society makes a difference. When it came to the conference, and they suggested the topic of teaching effectively, affectively, I stood there going, effectively, affectively, what are they going to do? What are they talking about? What should I talk about? So I came up with mnemonics. Okay, how do I teach normally? I use the letters. T for teaching, E effectively, A affectively. What are we going to do with this? How can I get this across? How can this be the basis of today's conference? All right. The British would love the T, right? That's a possibility. Teaching effectively and affectively. But no, that didn't quite do it. What if I reverse them? EAT. Effective, affective teaching. That sounded a little bit better to me. I know I love to eat. But even better than that, I switched them. Affective teaching effectively. ATE. That did the job for me because I finished my meal, I'm happy, I'm full, I'm ready to go. We got all that knowledge in and we're ready to put it out, right? But now, wait a second. Just because I thought about those words doesn't mean that you all thought about them. So I'm going to give you, I don't even know if it'll be 3 minutes because some of those talks went very long and we don't want to change the day. Just maybe 1 or 2 minutes. Would you kindly turn to the person to your right? And if you're the end person, you can go anywhere you want. And would the two of you personally stop and say, what is teaching, what is effective, what is affective to you? And I'm going to time it, and I'll say 2 minutes. 2 minutes of discussion. Please go ahead. Okay. If everybody would stop their thoughts, we're ready to go. You've had your 2 minutes and you know it started immediately. And you see as quickly as you got excited and started talking to someone, you know your students do that. When they're engaged and interested, that's exactly what they do. And then it's really hard to get them to stop, right? So therefore we flick lights sometimes to get them to stop rather than screaming, shut up. But shh, easy ways, flick lights, but you were all teachers, so you were very polite for me. And your 2 minutes were up, you had your thoughts, you're now, remember that pre-teaching, whether it be pre-reading, pre-writing, pre-whatever, and then we do it, the activity, and then afterwards there's a post. Well, we're doing the same thing now. We got you to think about what are you doing at this conference? Why are you here? Hopefully you came up with some thoughts. Some of these comments might have been in your thinking. To teach, we instruct, we encourage, we praise, we influence, share, guide, and last of all, which many don't, but we sure hope you do, are inspire. What is it to teach? What is that teaching part? To teach, we know, is grammatically a verb. To impart knowledge, to transmit a skill, and to give instruction. And I'm smiling at some of you as I look out there are busy writing. I came from the generation where we wrote everything down, right? How come I don't see some of you with your cell phones going click, click, everything you want to do? Or I will tell you, you're welcome to anything that's up here. I have it on a flash drive. It was be given to Alberto. They'll send it out to anyone that wants anything. So relax, enjoy. That's what you're here for, okay? So teaching could be the noun that comes from the verb to teach. Teaching is a field. Teaching of a certain religion. The teachings of is a noun. We had a verb, we have a noun. And those of you who are really good in English know that it's also a gerund. I am teaching you right now. Using it as a verb, gerund, what, okay? We know what teaching is. We're teachers. We've been doing it for a while. But if you went to Webster's dictionary, you might find to act, or the act of a profession of a person who teaches, using all the same words over and over. This is obvious to us. Something that is taught, no big deal. But I question, could it be an exchange or transfer of information? And some of you are nodding your heads that teaching is just as important as the learning. And is that student learning? Just because you're teaching doesn't mean that they're learning, right? And we're trying to find that perfect balance between the two. But then there's more to question. The learner, the teacher, what are those adjectives? What are those descriptions? Who can be kind? Is your student kind, or are you the one that's supposed to be kind? Who's the mentor? Can you possibly learn from your student? Who shares? Who's the problem solver? Sometimes your students help you. I know that when I didn't know how to use this presenter and didn't know how to make PowerPoints, my students did. And they were the ones who showed me. So I question, you know, who is it? When we're dancing, as a woman, we're supposed to follow, right? Follow the lead. He's teaching us, or maybe we're teaching him that he's going to want to dance, those who didn't want to dance, that maybe there's something good about this for them. Okay, how about that mother? Is it adult is teaching always adult? The mother teaches the child. Well, that seems obvious again. The mother teaches the child. The teacher teaches the child how to tie their shoes. That's a form of teaching. Whoops. But couldn't it be a student? Are we teaching the student to play soccer, or can one soccer player teach another soccer player the right moves? And by showing them how, they can do it just as well as an adult telling them. that sometimes one student can teach another student as well as the teacher teaches that student. So that's still not the whole picture. Adult teaching adult, adult teaching child. Then you've got the next level. I'm going to tell you a story before I go to that next level. How about self-teaching? I came from New York. I was born in New York City, a big city with lots of apartments, houses. It reminds me, Lisbon can say, okay, it's a big city too. And those who live in apartments are not used to the flowers. I now live in Florida, and I had to learn about flowers. I have roses in my garden. These are all pictures from my garden. In Florida, we're fortunate enough to have the orchids growing. And the last one, you might not know, frangipani. Do we have frangipani here? Then you know the delicious aroma that they have, right? So I learned about flowers. I love nature. Well, one day I said, okay, will someone tell me what fruits I have out here? Somebody recognizes the very end one. So bananas are the most common, and those are now growing in my garden. Mangoes, we have baby ones that are about to get ripe, and the papayas were in full bloom. Those are all in our garden in Florida. So one day I decided to make a salad, and I took the fruits from my garden and prepared something that I thought was yummy. I had to add a little bit extra, the pomegranate seeds that are in there, but the other things were mine from my garden. And as I thought about it, I said, I think I'd like to have this frequently. It's really good. So I took the papaya, took out the seeds, and put them into the ground. Little by little, with patience, they grew. And the seeds turned into little stalks, and the stalks turned into with nurturing, of course, it's always with nurturing, that's the effective part, turned into twins. I got two that you can see there standing on either side of my palm tree. And so I knew that I would be sure to have future papaya salads. Now the papayas grew and grew, and they started out small. They were green. I said, no, that wasn't the way my salad was. That's not good yet. We need to do more nurturing and more caring for them. And as I continued, and the sun did its job, and the water did its, then they turned a little bit yellow. Still not quite the way I wanted them. Finally, hooray, my papayas. They were all ready, and I could make salads again, more salads. So I look at it that life is beautiful. We see a process going on. The process of growth, the circle of life. You start with a child who knows nothing, and little by little he grows up. And in each stage there are different things that happen to this child. Even at adulthood, late adulthood, seniors, here I am. I am so thrilled to be here, to see you, to know that there are other people who are going to go behind me and who are going to grow and teach and show those children and make the world a better place. The circle of life goes on. We know that we're not the same. That little baby's brain is not the same as that teenager who's got love in his head or the rebellion format. We have all different phases, and you're all teaching different things. It doesn't matter which one it is. We're people, we care, one by one. That's what the effective part is. Just as we teach our students, the students teach us. It's a circle. It's a circle of learning and teaching. And in this circle of life, teachers are learners too. That's why you're here at APPI. Because even though I'm talking to you in generalities today, each one of the conferences, I looked at the brochure of what's going on this weekend. There are so many choices that you can make, and depending upon what interests you is what is be important and what is going to be meaningful. The same for your students. What is meaningful? Do we only learn from our teachers? Do we learn from adult to adult, adult to children, children to adult? Or is technology now part of us? I know I found it very strange when they talked to me about technology. There was none of this available when I was going to school. I remember doing my dissertation, having to work on papers where we typed it out, and you had those white papers and whiteouts, and you had to do it over and over, while computers now make it so much easier. And I never thought as a language teacher, I said, a computer in my classroom? No way am I using computers. Language communication is between people. And now I love, when I went to Albania, I knew I was invited there as a Fulbright. That was my first Fulbright. And I thought, huh, I'm never going to learn Albanian. That's a really tough language. And I have no idea. I know none, but yet I'm going to have to communicate. So what did I do? Went to the public library. They had this fantastic program called Transparent Language. Transparent Languages teaches just about any language in the world. There's Arabic, Russian, all the African languages. And I'm looking at it and saying, Albanian, let me give it a try. And sure enough, for about 6 months, I looked and I worked with it little by little, self-teaching. And when I got there, I can't say I was fluent, but certainly I was able to meet and greet and strive and survive. And that's what language was for. And you have to realize that with whatever you're doing with English, there's all levels, it doesn't matter. The idea is I wanted it. It had to be meaningful, and that's when I learned it. And if you don't make it something that your students can see that they're going to want, then maybe they will, maybe they won't. But computers certainly helped. And I'm not saying they're the whole thing. None of us are the whole thing. It's a combination of everything. Plus, none of us are the same. There are no two individuals alike. And we all have different patterns. And it's not easy to recognize which way a student learns. Nor can we divide ourselves into a classroom filled with 40 students. Each one, well, this one learns haptically, the other kinetically, the other one visually. But that's why we have to constantly be on the go and use variety. Variety of methods, variety of everything. So we have to know who we are. All ages learn. They learn maybe differently, but they do learn. What's most important to get them to learn is that they care about one another, that they care about you, that they be good human beings. That's the affective part. The affective part, we can have a good effective. We wouldn't have people out there mowing people down with cars if somewhere along the way they got to learn and love other people. There's something wrong with those of us who don't realize how good people are. Yesterday, we just took a walk in Aveiro, and there were a group of 5 students, 5 young ladies who walked up to us and started talking to us in Portuguese, and I wasn't quite sure what they were telling me, but I said, I know they're trying something, let them talk. When they got finished talking, they wanted a response, and I couldn't really respond because I said, I don't know, compreendo bem. And she said, oh, English? Sí. And then she started. It was a beautiful letter. They were going around from some club here about happiness. All of them in their classes at the university had to write a letter of happiness to somebody, wishing them good feelings, good something, because they were helping out children with cancer or something, and they wanted to bring good feelings to people. And I thought, gosh, if we could all just be that way, wouldn't it be wonderful? I know that the Portuguese people have wonderful hearts and care, and I had a marvelous day while I was here. And so therefore, I know that this is something that's going to be easy for you. That to reflect upon yourself and to be critical, what is it that you do? Are you doing problem-based learning? Are you relating your class to the outside world? Or are you just thinking about your particular course? Today I have to teach the verb to be. I am, you are, he is. How interesting are we going to make all of this? What's happening up there? There was traditional learning. There's learner-centered learning. There are all forms of methods. In the number of years I've been teaching since 1965, believe it or not, and I still love teaching, and I want to go into work, in that time, I realized that there's no one right way. No one right way for everybody. You can only try a little of this and a little of that and make yourself as big a person as you can by knowing what they might need. So the desired end result I do know. I don't know the best method nor the best anything. But the desired result, yes, I do know. We start out as the teachers, number one, the most important. Yes, we're the model. And kids are little bitty things. Show me, I don't know. And then little by little, they feel a little confidence, and it says, okay, I'll share what I know with you, okay. And they say, help me. And the teacher's, sure, I'll help you. And then we get to the next point where we guide them because they want, watch me, I can do it, look, right? And finally, you get to the end where they apply what it is that you've shown them or taught them. And then you become less important where this material is, and they want, let me do it, I can do it, and they've got that self-esteem and pride where they're able to. That's, to me, learning, where each person is responsible for their own learning, their own teaching, their own. Now, are you responsible for yourself? Because you're in that cycle too. And that's why we're here. Which one is it? T, eat, ate? Where are you? Where are you in this whole thing? What was effective to you? What was the effective part? Are you an affective teacher? Are you an effective teacher? Or must you be both? Obviously, both. To be effective, you have to be affective. Originally, I was going to ask for volunteers here to tell me what you thought affective was. But because of the size of the group and because of the being a little bit behind time, I'm going to forget the volunteer business. And I'm going to talk about affective. Affective, if I give you the book definition that I have here, the dictionary says, affective describes something that has been influenced by emotions, is a result of emotions or expresses emotion. It relates to moods, feelings, and attitudes. The word affective is used primarily in the field of psychology. It's a technical term used to describe an emotion of, caused by, or expressing emotion or feeling, emotional. Affective is the noun affect. Imagine that you're looking at someone who's experienced a strong emotion. Every one of those things that you observe is an affect. It's that warm and fuzzy part of a relationship. It could be love or liking. The liking of a classmate, the love of a class, of a particular course. That's the affective part, the feeling part, the caring part, the part that you can show in a classroom. Empathy for your students. Understanding that when you look out at a group of students and you get this look of, huh? That it's time to change and do something else. Or if you see all these smiley faces, you know, hey, we can keep going with this. You have got to look at changes. You can't give rules and say 2 minutes for this and 2 minutes for that, and I've only got 5 minutes to teach them this material. You've got to look at them and have concern and care. Care what is it that they're getting and they're not. And keep checking. How are you doing out there? I'm not hearing a lot of buzzing or talking like I did with some earlier of the introduction part. Not my introduction, but earlier. So I know you're listening to me. I see your faces out there. I know that you're paying attention to those pictures. Some of you are learning visually. Some of you are hearing. Some of you are writing down what it is you want. But you're all learning in your own way. So that affective, we know, is with reference to feelings. How do you feel? Do you want to be here? Do you want to learn? Does your student want to be in your class? We could use it in sentences. I took it out just in case you weren't sure. I took sentences and said, all right, use the word affective. Doctors also report they have patients who seem to experience a summer version of seasonal affective disorder, right? I don't feel like doing anything. It's summertime. Vacation. Or Mary's affective disorder is her bipolar traits. Some days she's on and some days she's off. And you have students. Some days they had a problem at home. The mother yelled at them before they left the door or threatened them. Well, then they're not going to react the way they did the day before when they were happy, cheery, and it's not your doing. So, affective teaching is teaching of the heart, where you care. You show concern. That's the affective part. Now, what about the effective part? The effective part, we know more readily, describes something that produces a desire used in everyday language and means successful in achieving a desired result. And my examples, again, I went back to medicine. Dr. Salk developed a vaccine which is an effective treatment for the once dreaded disease, polio. Thank goodness for him. With regard to global warming, we are searching for effective solutions for our environmental problems. And many of you are showing that in classrooms. You're dealing with that. We're having a mic problem? Oh, this is the better area? Okay, we'll stay here. I'm trying to get to everybody the best I can. I hate just standing at a podium, right? Again, I was going to have volunteers, but again, we're cutting that out and we'll just let you look. All the possibilities of effective. There are so many synonyms. Do you want to be a successful teacher? Sure. Powerful? Of course. Are you giving them something beneficial? Yes. And we could, impactful? That's the kind of teacher you want to be. Productive? Credible, valid, all of those are perfect. So those are all synonyms of effective, having a good result. We do not want the opposite, the antonym. The antonym, we do not want to be ineffective teachers or weak teachers. We don't want our students leaving the room confused, that all the material is unclear. They're unsure, they're perplexed. That's not what effective is. So if you're not sure still between effective and affective, we've got another way, okay? We got to show people things in different possible ways. If you use an upside down mnemonic, A, instead of being with an A, affective, I'm saying is for emotion. That's your affective teaching. And E is going to be for your action. We've reversed them for you. That you're effective. You're an effective teacher because you've got the result done, what you wanted to do. If those don't get it for you, if I haven't made myself clear, we've got a picture, right? And if you look, we've got two creatures, the big creature and the little one. In the first drawing, the large creature is confused. He's got a teddy bear in his arm, and he's looking down at the little one who's crying. The tears are streaming down his face. And he says, what could he possibly do? In the second picture, the big creature has certainly been effective, right? There's not the emotion like in the first one of the tears. The second one has everybody happy because he knew that if he gave that little bear to the little one would now be happy. So it was effective with reference to affect, the tears. So one is dealing with the heart, the other one more so with the mind. How do you get your points across? I noticed the other day at home this looked really clear to me. But when I stood in the back, I could barely see, at least with my vision, I could barely see the words. So I'm going to read. that in actual teaching, what are we doing with this affective effective? If you want to get knowledge across, somebody has to receive it. When they receive it, the way they let you know that they've learned it is they comprehend it. And it goes back and forth. The two of you, the teacher, the learner, are working together. You're collaborating. It's not a one-way street where you give information and you have no clue whether they got it or not. Usually when they comprehend, they can respond. So there, again, the comprehension means somebody's going to respond to you. And then they're going to apply that information. So that's a two-way street again. And when you apply it, you question it, and you value it, and you decide, how am I going to use this information in my life? So the entire thing, the affective domain is on one side, cognitive learning is on another. There is this term, metacognitive, Bloom's taxonomy, might sound fancy. You probably heard of it in education classes, and you say, does it apply to me? Do I really need to remember this? To me, this is God. In teaching, it really is. I've seen this chart in a pretty simple way like this by colors, not with all those explanations, but for children in preschool, children in kindergarten, in first grade, should have a chart like this in their rooms. Just as well as students at the university, because I have university instructors. I know I was in a statistics class where, yes, they gave me all this material, yes, I obtained it, and I'd go into the office and say, I don't understand. What do I do with this thing that you're telling me? I'd get A's on all the tests, and by knowledge, it looked like I was brilliant, right? I was an A student. You asked me today, I still don't know what I was doing with that. So that you can give tests and make your students look like they're brilliant because you're just asking them basics. But can you get them to apply it? Do they understand it? Can they use it in their lives? Is this sensible to them? What meaning does it have for them? So that we have to show them that there are levels, that it's okay, that now you understand. You might know, teach 2 and 2 or 4, but what are you going to do with that? How is that going to help you? Show me what you can do with that. And it's important for all of us to realize that we can teach. Where are we teaching? Are we teaching just the knowledge, or are we teaching beyond that? So be effective. Whatever you do, we want you to be effective. Again, I told you there are so many different charts. I pulled this one off of Google and said, oh, all of these are the 7 C's of effective teaching, and all of them make perfect sense. You want to clarify information, consolidate it, but is that all? Is that all there is, or is there more? I say you should open up your classrooms to excitement. That you've got to open it up to new experiences. Power should be to you. Give that power to the student to learn as well. Yes, you have your curriculum, but how can you play with it so that they enjoy it and so that they do come out of there excited? To me, to have great teaching, there are 4 aspects. The first is relationships. That affective part, you've got to have interpersonal relationships with yourself and your students. But the students within the students have all got to be positive. You can't let some of them pick on the other ones, and some feel miserable and others happy. They all should be enthusiastic. If there's one with a disability, we've got to learn to make the others understand how to be kind to that one. They're caring, concerned individuals. They're diverse in your class. They're not the same. You have those who are the organized ones who learn in a structured fashion, but you have just as many on the other side, the artistic ones, the ones who learn by moving around. There are some that have to touch and feel and do. So we have both. So that you're not just teaching your subject, especially at the university level where I am. I see it time and again, where they're so concerned with their course that they're teaching this and don't realize what it is that the people are getting out of it. How can they apply what they're being told? So you've got to be aware of who your audience is at all times. You're teaching the whole person, not just that one little thing that you thought was the major thing for today to get across. A great teacher takes a hand, opens a mind, and touches a heart. You've got a pretty complex job. It's not easy. We know that. Anybody can teach. Doesn't mean they're a good teacher nor a great teacher. And there's beyond that. Because the influence in the future of a good teacher we know can never be erased. Those who hate school now are the ones that when you hear about the shootings and the whatever down the road. Nobody helped them. Somewhere we've lost these souls. That's where we're headed. Because every one of you remembers at least one person that made a difference in your life. And it might not have been a teacher in school. I told you, we learn many ways. The teacher could have been a mother, a friend, a policeman, a coworker. But we learn from someone, and that information will never be lost. So you don't want to be one of those people who just don't even know who you are. What is it that you're doing? You've got to know yourself. You would never put on the board, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. That's why you're here. You're here to analyze yourself. What is it I need help with? What do I not know about? What do I want to get better at? It's time to evaluate yourselves as people, not keep blaming it, the child this or the child that, or it wasn't a good test, or I didn't like the textbook. It's you. What are you doing? You have to reflect upon yourself. Does your teaching encompass effective and affective parts? Are you supporting your students? Empowering them to work on their own? Engaging them? Engagement is the most important. Caring, sharing, reflecting, nurturing. Some of you might say, I'm not a nurturer. Well, yes, you have to be. Even teachers who are in a bad mood, having a terrible day, you have to be an actor and get up there. Everything is wonderful. Because if you act like you're miserable, you know your class is going to be a disaster that day, right? So we have to think of these things. What am I really doing? Do you have a strategy for what you're doing? How is your class management? You always hear people talking about discipline problems. Well, if students are engaged, they don't have time to throw airplanes or have to go to the bathroom 10 times. They're so busy and enjoying themselves that they're not going to get into trouble. You won't have class management problems. And are you the only one that's there? I know the ones up there can't read this. This little girl is saying to her teacher, I think it's an exaggeration, but there's a lot of truth in saying that when you go to school, the trauma is that you must stop learning and you must now accept being taught. Because they can teach you and they can do. Hey, I'm out there. You want to work with me, or are you just talking in general, right? If you tell me, I'm going to forget. If you teach me, maybe I'll remember. But if you involve me and I'm engaged, well, sure, then I'll learn. So that if you engage your students, you have a much better chance. You've got to figure out how you can play games, how you can do things with them, how can they interact among themselves, so that you will do a better job. And for me, teaching is not just being a good good teacher, great teacher. What about this one? A good teacher can inspire, hope, ignite the imagination, and instill a love of learning. So that person will go on forever, whether they're in your class or forever. They will be learning. They will learn to the moment they die, no matter what age. These little ones are working together painting. The teenagers are working on a computer program. The middle ones still have something that they're all together problem solving that'll get them working on. And your feedback does matter. Just having them do it and then never saying anything is no good either. You've got to show them that you're paying attention to them, that you care what they're doing. There's that input-output that's very important. And it's got to be positive, that caring. We can't have yelling at them, right? Some of you believe in rewards for participation. Whether people receive flowers, some of us like to get money, but we want to be acknowledged. We want that feedback. In our brains, when we're given a pat on the back, that's registering, that's feedback. I've seen in preschool, the first one's talking about pees and potties and poos. Who the bathroom? Hooray, this many things. You can check off, you can make any kind of award system you want, but you've got to give feedback. Even a smile, a nod, a pat on the back at the end of the day, yeah, well done. Something. Because good teachers teach and great teachers inspire. So which one are you aiming? Which one do you want to be? Think about that during this conference. Are you dealing with just the caring? Because just caring but not knowing what you can do well and what you can't doesn't help your students. You need to know what you need to improve. It's not just for them. And the cognitive, you're aware, you're going to be affecting, you're going to teach them information. There's a lot of stuff here. We know that. It's not easy. Nobody's saying our job is an easy one. But I know that you're here because you want to be super grade A+ teachers. You'll do it by collaboration and cooperation. You can be visionaries by keeping all of this in your mind and thinking, okay, what is it I always would have wanted to do? Well, if you thought it, go out there and lead them and tell them and show them the way. Be their guide. Reach for those stars, and each one of you can be your own star in your own way, in your own class, in your own town. You don't have to wait for somebody special out there to do it, because you are special, and you do a great job. So I truly believe in the poet. This is an American poet, Ralph Waldo Emerson. One said, to know that even one life has breathed easier because you have lived, this is to have succeeded. You each succeed. You each have that ability. And that will make your day, and it'll make your life. So, if you want to think about the post of this, I'm finished with what I had to say, but you could always finish your day or finish thinking right now, the conference. Okay, what did you learn today? What did you learn at any one of the sessions? What's still confusing to you? Ask that question. Send me emails. Ask a person. Don't let it go. Work on it at the time. What is it that you need to do for yourself today? If you want any references to what I've spoken about, I have a bibliography the same way I said this could be sent out to whomever, or these are all websites, modern websites where I got my information, and that's all I have to say, folks. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.